welcome everyone to the board meeting. Ngā mihi kia koutou. Monday, the 11th of April, the Kaiapoi-Tuahiwi Community Board meeting. So I've already noted apologies from Neville and Sandra for, has Sandra gone already? No, she's still there. Sandra's going to be leaving early, is that right? And so's Philip. Okay, thank you. And there's an apology from Chris Greengrass as well. I think that's probably everybody. So I'll move those apologies. Can someone second them, please? John, so moved by me, seconded by John. All those in favour?
Right.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Are there any conflicts of interest on tonight's agenda? Nope. Okay. Confirmation of minutes. I'll recommend that the minutes that have been circulated of the meeting held on the 21st of March are a true and accurate record. Do I have a seconder?
More than happy, Madam Chair.
Brent, thank you. Seconded by Brent. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Are there any matters arising?
Recording in progress.
Oh. No matters arising? No. All right, we'll move on. So first up tonight then is a presentation or deputation from WOW and Aqualand New Zealand, Tony and I've forgotten your name, that's terrible. Tony and I can't hear you. Jason, thank you, Jason. Sorry about that. Had a nice chat with Tony and Jason.
Me, just FYI, boys, she remembered me.
Yeah. I had a great chat with them at the closing day, which was very well attended. I must say it was a fabulous day. The weather was perfect. So you're going to tell us how things have been, having had now 6 months, I suppose, that you've had there. Is that right?
Yeah, 6 months, 3 months of actual time on the water. So what I'll quickly do is show you a video for those that didn't manage to get down, and I know we saw a lot of your faces there. Just a wee bit of overview of what the project looked like. And unfortunately, young Mark's up a mountain somewhere chasing deer, so he couldn't make it today, but he's done a little download as the director of Aqualand NZ. So I'll play the movie and then I'll flick over to his little update for you.
Thank you.
So
very good.
A bit of a flavour, and as you saw, we sort of measure success in smiles per hour. And yeah, it was amazing to just see those looks of exhaustion and enjoyment coming off the park. So I'll just quickly pull up Mark's little piece. Now, I hope you can hear the volume on this. It should transfer okay. But he's just going to give you a bit of an update on some of the data.
Hey guys, Mark here, Director of Aqualand New Zealand. Sorry I cannot attend today's meeting, but I thought I'd just do a presentation to run through some of the season's highs and also some of the great things that we've done and a look at what we're doing for season 2. But firstly, I'd just like to say thank you very much for your support and ongoing support to help get this project off the ground. Yeah, this means a lot to me, this whole water sports facility that WOW is pushing. And yeah, just like to say thank you again for your support. Just touching on a few of the attendance or visitors. So we had over the season 15,000 users,
Wow.
which equated in almost 30,000 total visitors. So we could tell that it's almost one-to-one. Everyone was turning up with a spectator, at least, or even two. So that 30,000 could even be on the low side. With all the data that we produced, 96% of our visitors were from the South Island, 4% the North Island, and 80% were from out of Waimakariri or out of Kaiapoi area. So, you know, there's 80% new visitors into the community,
Great.
which we think is absolutely awesome. Touching on some of the community aspects and give back that we've done. So we did over 800 free sessions for people, and this was a mix of charities, schools, and non-for-profits. And one of those non-for-profits that stood out was Pillars. Now, Pillars is a big brother system for kids who don't have their support network. So they provide a big brother for kids in need, and we hosted their Christmas party, and the response from the company and the kids was overwhelming, and they probably come back next year. We'll probably do it again at the end of the year. We planted over 200 plants, and in turn, before we even started putting the features on the lake, we improved the lake quality by removing the debris. I believe we removed about 7 tonne of debris and weeds and everything from the lake. And after we did that, it just really improved not only the quality of the water, but even just the visual quality of the water. We created 15 jobs and upskilled and trained our staff if they needed it. So if they didn't have the qualifications or the right skill, then we provided that training for them to upskill them. For season 2, we are looking to expand the inflatable offering. So we're looking to provide a few more features in this area here to cater for small and old. So younger and older people, just to expand that offering. We want to improve the on-land facilities, so provide some more shelters and tables and chairs, a bit more of a hangout spot, even for spectators or people passing by, so they can enjoy what's going on. And we're also looking at putting in a transitional cable accommodation and surf into it. Now, I believe Tony and Jason will talk more to this on that aspect, but however, this is just my piece here. I really hope you have received a lot of good feedback from the park. We've really enjoyed it, and it's been an incredible season. Have had a few highs and lows from COVID changing and having a really wet season. However, it's been an awesome learning experience for all of us, and we can't wait to come back stronger for next season. So again, thank you very much, and look forward to season 2.
Thank you very much. It's great. Well, it sounds a very positive report. Thank you for that. Tony.
Yeah, I'll let Jackie, I'll let Jace carry on for a minute.
Right.
We'll just stop the sharing, I think, or not. We'll just
Must be a bit somehow. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All good. So I know we're short on time, so I've just chucked in 2 or 3 quick slides here. This is really just an overall general report of the season. We are getting the accounts audited, etc., as we needed to do. That's all in process at the moment. So when we get that, we'll get through. We just wanted the chance to update you where we're at while it's all still fresh. If we just look at our site plan, the site went really well for us. The car park went really well. After a few of those wet days, we managed to get some gravel in there when it was really wet over New Year's, which improved the entry. But no, it went really well as a car park. And we often on our busy days, we'd expand up into the next little bay and sort of send sort of elderly and what have you that were dropping kids off up into that area. Our service worked really well for our contractors. They could come in and out. Pretty happy with that. We were quite low where our dock was. We did have a bit of flooding there, so we invested in some aquatic carpet towards the end of the season. That just helped us make that work. But yeah, the yellow is where we ran the cable, and it's something we could look at expanding. But as Mark said, we want to add stuff for the younger kids that didn't quite have the confidence, and it may be that they can enter that straight off the dock. And then also probably something for the bigger kids that want a wee bit more excitement. There's a couple of sort of next level up ones we could look at. So that's sort of on the actual park within the area that we're at the moment, some of the improvements. But if I just, you heard Mark expand on what else can we do? So we're looking around the world at different options of what we can do. We're investigating a floating surf option at the moment. That also has the potential to aerate the pond and improve the water. That's through a connection of the people that have already supplied us the park. So that would be a first in Australasia, I believe. But something we're investigating. And at the bottom is Mark on the cable day. So we just simply put a jump on the pontoon and a transportable cable. But we're looking at how could we make that work. Also a lot of interest from people in campers, camping and glamping, and we're keen to see what the council's going to do with the proposed park down the road, but can we do a bit of a trial of that next season? Could we put 3 or 4 in our car park for people that are going to use our park? So this is just really an image mood board of some of those things we want to investigate. Could they work for next year? And the last one, there's additional community amenities. I haven't really got a drawing, but we really want to look at, can we put in bathrooms? Can we put in that sort of thing? We ran out of time, I believe, for the TIF funding, where we could have worked with the Mahinga Kai team. And can we get some toilets in there sooner rather than later? And could they be slightly more than toilets and provide some more shower amenities and etc. for the community? It then becomes a legacy for the Mahinga Kai. So lots of ideas we'd like to push around now that we've got some time.
Right.
Deflated and clean of the park took 4 days. But yeah, massive thanks to the team that helped. And my final word on the park, and Tony will give you a very quick upland update on Wao across the river. It's just a big thank you to the community, from the people that come in with scones when we were setting up, to the dog walkers that didn't like us for a start, but by the end of it, we've become great mates. Just those habitual people, we're there every day, they're there every day. We seem to have turned a lot of people's attitudes towards it. Just the laughter and the enthusiasm and the joy of the families was really awesome. So we're very keen. How can we keep improving that, and how can we test things for when we want to move across the river? So just quickly, I'll hand over to Tony. Just a slide there to quickly remind you what our big vision is about.
Yeah, just before I jump on that, thanks, Jace. Thanks for the opportunity to talk tonight and just give you a bit of a report. Just to clarify one of Mark's comments, he said about 7 tonne of debris that came out of the pond. Slight overstatement. It was about 700 kg, I think. But anyway, he's not probably used to putting that on the table anyway. But no, it was 700 kg, not 7 tonne. So,
and it went to the Christchurch City Council landfill. You'll be happy.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So look, that's a great place to step off from, Jace, with the aspect about the transitional. We've always seen the park where we are at the moment as a transitional space, and that's why the lease is what it is, with the idea of the bigger picture. And obviously, in our bigger picture, we had wave and aquaplay and whitewater and wake, which is up on your screen. We've sort of got that transitional thing going with the aquaplay. And we've just and obviously tested on that bit of that last day, a wee bit of a demonstration around wake. But I suppose in this environment that we're in at the moment with COVID and so forth, and uncertainty, and are we able to get overseas and all that sort of thing, which is only just starting to unlock now. It's been an interesting period of time, and from an investor from an investment perspective and putting investment into these sorts of things, there is a wee bit of reluctance at this time, just because of the nature of tourism and so forth. People aren't, there's not the security, I suppose, of that. But it's been done, it's been completed as a transitional space, and what we've been trying to do is going, hey, how can we continue to prove the concept, prove the project is appropriate for Kaiapoi, and how can we do transitional things to actually just start kicking those goals. We've done it on the aquaplay, we've started, and as Jace alluded to, we're looking at, hey, how can we do a transitional aquaplay cable on there? Maybe there's an inflatable surf rider thing, which gives a bit of a kickstart into what's going to potentially happen over the other side of the river. None of those things are actually real built structures. They're able to be inserted in the same way and taken away as we've done with the aquaplay, but it just starts to prove what it is that we're doing. So on that, if we have a bit of a think about the other side of the river for a minute, we had a memorandum of understanding, or we do, with WaiMac, which actually was signed up a couple of years ago now, and is coming up for either renewal of some description in August this year. And I suppose we'll be wanting to have a chat with the staff and obviously yourselves in the near future about how can we actually extend that for a period of 3 years, because we are wanting to progress things. So there's an extension of that memorandum is something that we'll be looking to do in the short term, but also, as well as that, there's the investors that have put dollars into the aquaplay this year are keen to actually progress the cable and aquaplay, and part of that is, which is fantastic. So on one hand, we're asking for an extension for the memorandum of understanding for a period to keep that security in there. We're also probably wanting to look to get a slice of that pie that's up on the screen there, as a way of going, how do we, at the moment there's a number of funds out there, additional funding for like PGF and so forth, Jackie, that that actually requires sort of milestones to be real and attainable, and they're less likely to actually provide funding if you can't prove that the project's actually going to happen. So some of those things around consenting, leases, ownership, all that sort of thing helps in those applications and actually going, hey, this is real and actually is happening. Otherwise, they don't tend to actually take you as serious as you'd like to. So I suppose we'll be wanting to progress some applications with the likes of the second, it isn't called PGF, but it's the sort of second version of PGF that's out there at the minute.
Right.
And we need to really probably be going in front of them in the next sort of 6 or 9 months, as far as going, hey, we've got this in line, and actually start to actually develop the project for an aquaplay and cable park on the other side, with hopefully getting a shovel in the ground late next year.
Very good. Okay. Oh, well,
For an update.
congratulations on the project. I mean, it's been amazing, and it has been far more successful, I think, than anyone thought it was going to be. So anything, I'm hoping, anything that the council can do to help you progress this so that you can get to those funders and impress them with what you've done so far. I'm sure that we've got lots of support from the board. Does anyone on the board have any questions they'd like to ask Tony or Jason? Brent?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Most impressed with the number of out-of-town visitors, guys. Really impressive at the 15,000. We could actually hear across the river the people yelling and screaming. So that's an indication of how much fun there was being had over there. How many return visitors did you have? And the second question, in terms of, were there any issues, injuries, that sort of stuff? Thanks.
So first question, return visitors, we haven't pulled the data on that yet, but there were quite a lot. You know, you hear them, oh, last time we did this, or they're coming back. But yeah, we will get the numbers on that. Injuries, we had 3 serious injuries and probably half a dozen minor sort of sprains and things. But yeah, we had 2 leg breaks, and we had a what was considered at the time a serious back injury, but it ended up a bruised tailbone from a young fella that created a new creative line on one of the slides. But yeah, 2 leg injuries, a low level and a knee, but wasn't through failure of the things. It was sort of bad luck, and one had a wee bit of pre-existing history. Had a bit of butt burn, I suppose you'd call it, friction burn. And sort of learning to pre-wet a lot of the slides and things like that, especially on hot days. So there's a bit of learning, but no, generally we were waiting and waiting and waiting. And also the staff were amazing when we had a few nurses on board. So on those serious ones, yeah, I was very, very proud of the staff and the way they handled it.
Very good. Any other questions from anyone? No, well, look, thank you very much for your presentation. As I say, it's very impressive. I've certainly heard people in the community who have done a complete 180 on this whole thing. There was quite a bit of opposition, but no, everyone seems to love it. And as you said, the sound of laughter, you can't beat that, can you? So that's fantastic. And it sounds as if you've got an awful lot for us to look forward to as well. So well done, guys. Thank you very much.
Becky. We really want to see how we can get those 24,000 people into Kaiapoi and not driving away. That's probably the one thing for both parties to work on, yeah. But yeah, thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Okay. All right. Moving on. No adjourned business. Report 6.1, the approval to consult on speed limit review for Smith Street, Kaiapoi. We've got Shane sitting there waiting. Over to you, Shane.
And that's a bit of a tough act to follow, going from excitement in the water to reducing speed limits. So apologies for that. But trusting you've had a chance to read the report, we're looking at a pretty substantial change in environment with the new development going in off of Hakara Road and Tuna Street. I actually have plans for the traffic signals in for engineering review. So the developer on that southeast quadrant is ready to go gangbusters on construction. And given that we will be seeing a lot more traffic in the area, new traffic signals and footpath immediately against the road, we feel that it is high time that this area be looked at for speed limit, whether the speed limit is appropriate or should be dropped. So we are looking for permission to go out to consultation on that.
Thank you, Shane. Any questions? I have a question. It might be more for Chris, I'm not sure. I was interested to read that the supermarket and department store, it's actually there in black and white. And I have to say, it's the first time I've seen it in black and white. It's almost become a bit of an urban myth. So can you tell me, is there a timeline for either of these developments to start? Does anyone know? Chris, do you know?
I had a conversation with Simon Hart today. And he was a little bit more firm around the fact that a supermarket was going to go into there, and talked about some land purchase and things like that, which may have happened in there. Not so certain around whether or not a department store was going to go in there or not. He wasn't aware of anything firm around the department store, but definitely the supermarket he was a bit more certain on. I don't know around timeframes, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's right. I thought that would be the answer, but I thought I'd just check. Philip, followed by Martin.
Hello, Shane.
Who's funding the traffic signals?
The traffic signals are being designed and constructed by the developer doing the works on that southeast quadrant.
Thank you.
Martin?
Philip preempted me, so I'll withdraw my hand.
Okay. Right. Hence your disappearing yellow hand.
That's the one.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll move this recommendation that the board receives the report. So that's A. B, approves consultation. C, D, E, F, and G. Do I have a seconder?
I'm more than happy to second that, Madam Chair.
Right, seconded by Brent. Okay. Obviously, this is something that does need to be done. It's just a matter of when, and I suppose now is as good a time as any because all the other speed limits are also being changed, and it seems a logical change to be made as well. Brent, did you want to say anything?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Only to the extent that having traffic lights in this particular area is an indication that we are going to see an increase in people coming into the area and potential growth in the area in Kaiapoi, and I'm all in favour of that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I think this isn't necessarily that the traffic lights are going ahead, is it? It's just the speed limit change, really. Well, oh no, it says any speed limit change will not be implemented before the traffic. Oh, okay, I stand corrected. All right, so I've moved it. Brent seconded it. All those in favour, say aye. Aye. Against, carried. All right, thank you very much, Shane. That was quick and easy.
Thank you for your time.
Right, moving on to 6.2, the town centre lighting concepts and themes for Rangiora and Kaiapoi. I'd just like to say that Chris Greengrass was on this working group, and since she resigned, well, since she stood down from being chair, a number of meetings were meant to be held, but in actual fact, they were always cancelled. So unfortunately, I was meant to be the rep on this. So I don't know any more than anyone else does about what's on here, although I have spoken to Chris about it. And I did check with Chris, and she seems quite happy with what's happened here, because she was certainly the one that was following it up. So Vanessa.
Good evening,
Welcome.
Madam Chair. Thank you. So the purpose of this report is really just to seek the board members' endorsement of the town centre feature lighting designs for Rangiora and Kaiapoi. You may recall that, first I should say, the designs were actually prepared by Kevin Cooley from Total Lighting Limited, and he was selected by the town centre feature lighting working group as the preferred consultant to do work in that space. You may remember he came in, I believe, and did a session with the board. I'm just showing you some lights and various effects that can be achieved. The concepts are really just intended to guide future town centre lighting decisions from a design and funding point of view going forward, and really just to provide businesses and property owners a design guide, I guess, if they're looking to do upgrades to their own stores and properties. The budgets are out of date at the moment, so they will be subject to review going forward when we look at progressing different upgrades. And I should also mention, there is an option to look at a suite of options there. So if there was a desire to keep the project within budget, if it happened to go over, to deliver the full suite of options that Kevin's put in the proposal, you can always pick and choose and take some things out. So happy to take questions.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Vanessa. Does anyone have any questions of Vanessa? No. Oh, Philip. And then Brent.
Hi, thanks, Vanessa. One of the things that has changed since Kevin first did his report, I think the community board is now looking at changing the balustrades on the bridge, which isn't reflected in Kevin's report. And I must say that I actually don't mind the balustrades as they are. They'd make a nice lighting feature. I just wondered whether there could be any input from Kevin into the balustrades so that we can do both together if there is a change. So the lighting and any change to the balustrades go together, and we don't just end up with something that can't be lighted or lit up.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I've actually spoken to Kevin just to preempt this meeting to see if there were any lighting design changes that need to be done if we were to upgrade the balustrades. And that's another report, just so you know, I'm coming to see you guys soon around that in terms of the options there. He's actually said the lighting that he's proposed already in the concept designs, there was a little bit of a mention around the bridge in the Kaiapoi concept design. Will still stand as is for the proposed balustrade option that we're putting forward. So there was no need to change that, but we did check with him. Sorry, it's my cat's just jumping up the curtain at the moment and shredding it in the background. But we are looking at taking a master plan approach to this. So there were 3 separate projects: painting the William Street Bridge, upgrading the balustrades potentially, and also doing the street light review. So we're tying them all together in the background so we can get synergies and cost efficiencies across all 3 of those at the same time. So work will be completed in a way that's a bit more logical, in terms of getting the best outcome there.
I just wanted to be certain that the right hand knew what the left was doing.
Absolutely.
And if you're doing all 2 or 3 aspects, then that will solve that problem, Vanessa.
Great.
Can I just add that the community board have never seen anything on the balustrades? That has not come to the board at all. Yeah, you're aware of that. That's good.
Yes.
It's only been to council, hasn't it?
That's right. And I think initially there was 6 options were taken to council last year in a briefing, purely just to get a steer as to what might be amenable from a budget point of view and design point of view. The intention was always then to follow that through with the community boards and get endorsement from the boards. We took those 6 options in March last year, and the council asked us to go away and look at some other additional options, which we did this year. So we took back some additional options in March this year, and they have selected a preferred design that is quite contemporary, but it sort of maintains that heritage component as well. So I'll be bringing that forward through to you, and ideally in, I think, May I'm aiming for. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Very good.
Are there any other questions? Brent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also was wanting to know more about the balustrade and whether or not there was options to change. And is it possible, Vanessa, for you to send the presentation that was given to council through to the community board in the first instance? And then the next question I have is with regard to the lighting underneath the bridge. I was always under the impression there was an issue with the amount of faeces that is dumped by the volume of birds underneath there that makes it a real problem to actually put lighting under there. So is that being taken into account, please?
Certainly happy to send that presentation on, just noting that a full report will follow that. So just so you know that. I'm not too sure about the faeces issue, to be honest. It hasn't come up since I've had the project, but it's something I'll have to have a discussion with other staff and our lighting designer. Yeah.
Thank you, Vanessa. Would someone like to move?
I'm more than happy to move. Thanks, Madam Chair.
So that's A through to F. And a seconder. John, you'll second that?
Madam Chair, yes.
Brent, would you like to speak to it?
Only to the extent that, Vanessa, you've done a good job. Thank you.
John?
I agree with Brent. It is positive, a very, very positive direction that we're moving into. And I like Brent. I think that the community board is probably at this point we start to look at those the options, if you like, of the balustrades and so on. But now's the time to do it. Thank you. Congratulations for the effort that's put in. It's good.
Thank you. All right, so moving 6.2 A through to F, moved by Brent, seconded by John. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you, Vanessa. That's well done.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, 6.3, ratification of the board submission to the Council and Environment Canterbury's draft annual plans. I'll move that the Kaiapoi-Tuahiwi Community Board A receives the report, B retrospectively ratifies it, and both of them for B and C. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
John, seconded by John. Okay. I think we had a fair bit of discussion about this with the airwaves in the end, because we never ever got together on this. Of course, it's all been by Zoom. And I hope that everyone was happy with the final submissions. So I'd like to move 6.3 A, B and C, seconded by John. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Right, there's no correspondence. My report of verbal update, seeing as the last meeting was only 3 weeks ago, and in that time I've been isolating with COVID. I haven't done much except rest. So the only things that I would like to bring up is the fact that I did attend a special ceremony to Bruce Kearney, principal of Kaiapoi High School, put on by President Neil Price of the RSA, in thanking Bruce for the fantastic cooperation between the school and the RSA. As you're well aware now, the numbers of kids that turn up to those events is awesome. And the speeches that are given, the kids are given the opportunity to speak at those events. It certainly turned the whole Anzac Day parade thing around. And so Bruce was given a really beautifully handmade trophy, and he had to read the oath before the last post. It was a really lovely ceremony. Yumi, we have got back into action now that we're all back in action and not in lockdowns quite so much anymore. And we've got a new festival this year, Matariki, which is on the 24th of June, firework display and night market. So that's a new event, a new annual event for Altogether Kaiapoi. Sorry, I used their wrong name, ATK. A new event for them, which hopefully will be as big as any of the other events that we've held in the past. And they're also planning the spring festival as well, which isn't that far away, amazingly enough, September. Other than that, I don't think I've got anything to report. So I will, I'm meant to recommend that you receive my report. Do I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Al. Seconded by Al. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. And I'm sure that, Courtney, you'll remove the Wood End Sefton Community Board mistake that's in that motion. Okay, 9 matters referred for information. I'll move the recommendation that the board receives the information items 9.1 to 9.6. Seconder, please.
Happy to see
John,
that.
seconded by John. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Right, we're up to members' information exchange. So looking at my screen, we'll start with the top left-hand corner. Philip, that's you on my screen.
Oh, well, I haven't actually prepared anything this month, but I can say that Creative Communities, of which you're aware, Madam Chair, we have 22 or 23 applications for funding, and the committee will be meeting later this week to consider those. Otherwise, it's been a reasonably busy time and I've been busy doing other things. So very brief this month.
Thank you, Philip. John, you're next.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Sorry, I missed the last meeting. That's first and foremost. I don't know how that happened, but I just, whether I'll ever know, I couldn't get the thing to work. Took part in the discussion and working out and so on for the submissions to the plans. Probably the biggest thing that I've been involved with over this last a couple of months really is the Darnley Club, and we should, and you should all really be very, very proud of this district and the volunteers that belong to look after the Darnley Club and the staff. You know, I've been down there lots of times. It's basically the venue part of it is closed, has been closed for ages, and the pressure the clients are under, there's 104 of them currently, I think. The pressure that they've been under and the frustration and the anxiety, they want to come back. Basically, they want to come back. They're missing the organisation, the volunteers, and the effort they're putting in. If, for example, the clients were there 2 days a week, they get in a midday meal, they're still getting that. The staff, 2 teams of staff, cooking meals for them and taking them out, having a little chat and making contact through that way with all of them. The ones that are prepared to talk to them over the phone are doing that. So it's a big job. They're staying, that the volunteers are still working hard, and in some cases under more pressure because of the environment. And I hope that it gets back to normal sooner than later. But it's something to be proud of. The fact that I had been close to it over that side of it and really seen it from the inside when they're under pressure. We're part of a good community. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Oh, that sounds amazing. Sandra.
Thank you. Just a couple of brief items that of interest. Environment Canterbury, through the Zone Committee allocated its $50,000 for projects in the area, and the particular one for there's two actually, is Inanga spawning habitat enhancement in the Taranaki stream, and also willow clearance in the Pines wetland. They probably add up to about $30,000 worth of the 50,000. So and there's a few other projects, but those are the two main ones that affect this area. The other thing that was of concern to me, as you know, most of PC7, Plan Change 7, is now operative. There's some appeals going on, but the bulk of it is being ticked off and now operational. We were waiting for the Alpine Rivers section of the existing Canterbury Land and Water Regional Plan, which concerns the minimum flows in the waimakariri itself, and that was still to be reviewed. But now, under the National Policy Statement Fresh Water, ECAN has to produce a new Land and Water Regional Plan by 2024. So it's not planning to do the review of the Alpine Rivers section as a separate entity, which we were waiting for, because the saltwater intrusion into the Kaiapoi is directly linked to the too low a flow in the waimakariri. So I'm going to ask Simon Markham how we get into the process of the preparation of the new regional plan, which has to be notified by 2024. And I don't know yet, because certainly there'll be a view in the community about the flow, minimum flow in the Waimakariri and how it affects the Kaiapoi and the rivers upstream. Yeah, that's me.
All right. Martin. Thank you, Sandra.
Thanks, Madam Chair. We had a Community Wellbeing Board meeting at the end of March, and main topic of discussion was just the uncertainty around funding for some of the programs that we're offering. Very, very frustrating, and particularly ones coming from MSD and the Health Board. The only good news we had was that the Mana Aki program, which is the mental health support program for primary age tamariki, has got funding through to December, but then there's no certainty after that. So yeah, we're really up in the air about that. Last week we had a joint promotions association meeting, which Vanessa and Simon hosted with Joan. And one of the things that came from that meeting was that Vanessa and Simon and the town centres team are looking for ideas about how we can rejuvenate the town centres, encourage people to get back and coming shopping. We've flicked through some ideas to Vanessa and Simon and Joan, but if you've got any ideas about what the council could do to help that process, please talk to Vanessa. Last week we also had a planning session for KPA. As you mentioned, Jackie, the easing of restrictions on outside events is just a a godsend. We just, we can now get on and planning for things. Up until that happened, all events we were going to have fenced off and people scanning in and out, and it was just going to be a nightmare. So it's just great that those restrictions are coming off. And lastly, I've just been working with the green space team, looking at public access upstream of the Kaiapoi Railway River Bridge, up through that part of the Kaiapoi and into the Hoka Stream area. There's a few barriers there with Kiwi Rail and some private ownership that we'll just be assisting the green space team on. And hopefully we can get a license to occupy from Kiwi Rail so that people can get access through that area without the risk of being considered to be trespassers. So that's me.
Brent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've already sent through my report. I would just like to make a comment with regard to John and the Darnley Club. Dawn and Tanya and the volunteers just do an amazing job. Shirley's mum and dad attended Darnley and they just thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. So pass on our thanks to Dawn and Tanya and the volunteers, please, John. Only other thing apart from the report I sent through was Beach Grove residents. A couple of them requested my presence with regard to, you may recall, the board meeting a couple of months ago with regard to parking in Beach Grove, and the residents were wanting me to see firsthand the issues that the residents are having there. For every 12 houses, there's effectively 3 car parks. When one house has 5 cars, where do they park? And there's a major issue. 2 weeks ago, an ambulance tried to attend a resident in Beach Grove and they couldn't get down the road. So, it's a real issue. So all of that information has been passed on to staff, but I wanted to just give you an update. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Brent. And that leaves us with Al.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I've got very little to report. I've had with this stupid bug, I've hardly been off the property for over 2 weeks, so I don't have a clue what's going on, really. Nice new boat in the river, you've all have seen, as a liveaboard. Penny and Kevin living on that, and there's another one coming soon about the same size again. So the whole thing's going, starting to look really good. We've covered Aqualand. The fairy forest at Pines debacle, but not debacle, PR debacle, I should say. We had a meeting last week. We were to have a meeting last week to try and sort out what happens next, and that was cancelled because 2 of us had COVID, and so nothing to report yet. Just letting you know, we still will have a council, an in-house council debrief, if you like, if that's the right word, just to find out what happened, and then we'll decide what, if anything, we can do to try and remedy the situation. That's really about me. Lots of things happening down at Tikahaka, but I'll leave that till next month, and when they've been confirmed, and fill you in on that. So I'll croak off and leave. That'll do for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Just a couple of things I forgot to mention before. I met with, wearing another hat, I met with the guys who want to do the disc golf. So I have actually written an article for the Advocate about it, but I have put in the article that they still have to get permission from the community board, and they're well aware of that. They're very enthusiastic, though. It was fantastic to hear their plans for the Kaiapoi domain. And the other thing is, Al mentioned this to me the other day. I think the church, some of the churches are doing something for the Queen's Jubilee, Queen's birthday, her 70th year. He wondered if the community board wanted to do anything. I have to say it's not something that's high on my list of things to do, but I did wonder if maybe there was anything that was happening in the community round about that time that might like, I don't know, a bit of glamour, what would you call it, a bit of royalist stuff attached to it. Someone want to plant a tree. Is someone planting a tree? And could we call it the Jubilee tree or something? I don't know. So if anyone knows of anything or has a bright idea about how we could do something, I'm certainly happy to consider it. But I don't know about actually making a special event for it. But, just think about that anyway. Let me know if you've got any bright ideas. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. So that's members' information exchange. Moving on, we've just got the consultation project Margaret Experiences, regeneration projects, board funding update, balance at 4th of April, 3,627. General landscaping budget 25,430. Media items, well, there's going to be an article about the disc golf in the paper, but it hasn't been to the board yet, so sorry about that. No questions under standing orders or urgent general business, and so it looks like I can declare the meeting closed at 10 minutes to 6. It's probably not a record, but it could be.
Well done, Jenny.
So, thank you, everyone, for your attendance.
Good.
Anything anyone else wants to say?
No.
Okay.
Chris, are we talking tomorrow morning, 11:30?
Well, we can do, Al, if you feel.
Yeah, I've got a few things to discuss. Seeing we haven't been near the building for about a century. What time suits you?
Whatever time suits you. I'm pretty free.